Hey boys and girls, it's Ron Bass with another edition of Soar High Personal Development, your source for inspiration. Joining me today is Mr. Davin Henley, Davin with an I.
Yep.
Our producer, also our producer at Soar High Records, which is a very busy place these days, I hear.
It is.
I see it with my own eyes.
Extremely busy.
Wow.
I feel like I haven't done one of these in what feels like a year, but it's been what?
It's been a minute.
Three or 4 months?
It's been a minute.
Maybe 3.
But I was talking to Davin earlier about these podcasts. We've been doing it for like 2 years, give or take. Mm-hmm. And the reality is that no matter what our topic is each day, like today our topic is slow down. So no matter what our topic is, it really kind of comes back full center to just basics of how to live your life in a successful sort of way. Nothing's perfect. One of my notes tonight is, hey, nothing's perfect, but your odds of success are so much greater if you follow the rules. And, what are the rules? Well, we can get into rules here in a little bit, but I'm just kind of walk through my notes here just for a second, and then we'll kind of go back full circle and we'll talk a little bit.
I will say I want to expound upon the slow down. I have a couple
Expound is a great word. I love that word.
Expound upon.
I love that phrase, that word. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Well, I just, like some things that I automatically thought of when you said slow down were like relationships or friendships, your goals in the sense of not don't make too big of a goal to where you can't, it's unrealistic. Make the small goals like you and I have talked about. Make those small goals to get to that big goal.
Yes.
And then slow down in like your work life, in the sense of you have to know when your body and your mind need to take a break.
That's a good point. Somebody said to me, Ron, you have to recognize when your body is telling you things. And if you don't, you're going to make a mistake. And I was really bad about that. But the last year or so, I've recognized that more and more about, you can tell when you're exhausted, when your body's telling you, hey, man, you got to take a break.
Your stomach hurts, your head hurts, your eyes hurt.
And you just know you got to rest.
Yes.
And I think rest may be more important than exercise. As much as I preach about exercise, it's certainly equally as important.
I think they're equally as important. I think that rest on a day-to-day basis could be considered more, depending on what you do.
It's very critical. Regardless how whatever percentage we put on it, you got to rest every single. I don't care if you're young or old. Particularly as you get old, man. If you don't rest, you're screwed and tattooed. It's bad news.
Even in your 20s.
Speaking of tattoos, we were talking about somebody earlier that has a lot of tattoos. What is it about tattoos? What is it that draws people to tattoos? By the way,
I'm not for sure. I think
some people say it's pain. They're addicted to pain.
Some people do say that. I think some people also like the thought of expression. So
it's artistic.
Yes, it's artistic, like music, just like music.
I see, same kind of thing then. Mm-hmm. Interesting. We'll have to get into that topic another time, perhaps. So slow down. I wrote some notes down. Concentrate.
Yes. Yeah.
Stay calm, cool, and collected. We talk about that a lot in jiu-jitsu all the time when we're fighting. Stay calm, stay collected, stay cool. Don't lose your head. Because when you're fighting, particularly when you're fighting, if you make the wrong moves, what happens?
You lose. And then,
not that you might not lose anyway, but they're back to odds again. I think if you follow the rules, odds are better, you're going to succeed. Nothing's perfect. I told somebody tonight at our class tonight at our jiu-jitsu school, it's like, hey, you have to be consistent.
Yes, correct.
And if you are, ultimately, you'll have to have improvement.
Yes.
I can't guarantee you how far up the line you're going to get, but you're going to definitely get further up the line.
I agree.
Sometimes you get lucky, that plays a role, hard work plays a role, talent plays a role, but I really think in the end, more than anything, success is based on consistency.
Yes.
Never giving up, never giving in.
A successful day for me is, coming in here and making at least one song or one beat or getting a mix done, getting an EP done, getting a project released, something like that. That is success.
By the way, you're working with over a dozen artists now, compared to when we started a year and a half ago when you were full-time, like one artist.
One.
That's crazy.
This time last year, actually, a young Nick Peoples came in. Hi, Snick.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Snick came in.
I remember that.
That's funny.
I remember I was talking to him on video chat, and he was talking about he had a producer in Russia.
Yep.
He's doing it all on the internet. I said, hey, you need to come on in and meet our producer. And he did, and he never looked back.
Now
he's got his own album out and working on another one, and we've done live shows and a lot going on.
He's working on 2 albums right now.
2 albums right now. That's crazy.
And then some other things that are in the works as well. Excuse me.
Well, Soar High Records is on the move. Soar High Entertainment's definitely on the move. Soar High Personal Development is on the move.
I agree.
Our goal is to provide a platform for people that are interested in wanting to improve their life and wanting to improve their skills and be successful in their trade. That whether it's Soar High Personal Development, where we're talking about things in general, whether it's business or personal or sport or fitness or any of those sorts of things, but in the entertainment business, you've got artists that want to become successful artists.
Correct.
And that's more specific, but it's the same rules. Hard work, dedication, being honest, being consistent, never giving up, having good mentorship.
Yes.
In this case with Soar High Records, you are their producer. You're like their guru.
I try to be.
Yeah, well, you are. They look up to you. A lot of respect. So staying cool, calm, and collected is a big deal. By the way, before we kind of go any further, I want to share a really interesting couple stories, success stories. I love these kinds of stories. I was reading an article about Colonel Sanders, the guy that invented Kentucky Fried Chicken. And this is a crazy story, and I kind of knew this before, but I saw a recent documentary on him, and he said that he had a successful restaurant, but something happened in the Smoky Mountains. Something happened where they changed the highway system, and he was going to be cut off, so the traffic wasn't going to go by his restaurant anymore. So this guy started selling chicken door to door. I didn't know this. Literally, like door to door. He had a recipe, and he came up with Kentucky Fried Chicken because he didn't want to call it Southern Fried Chicken or something like that, so he named it Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right.
Kind of an interesting point. But the point I'm trying to make is that even at 65 years old, he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. So he wasn't a young man by any means.
No.
And by the time he was in his middle 80s, he was worth like $1 billion.
Success.
And that last 20, and he died a few years later, but like in his last 20 years is when all of his real success came.
Exactly.
I love stories like that.
Success isn't based off of your age, like a lot of like rappers or artists in general, they think that they have to be 16, 17, 18, 19,
Yes.
20 to get into the game and
Yes.
be successful. No, there are artists, some of the biggest artists right now are 35, 36, 37.
That's interesting.
So they've lived their life. They have found their
I
success.
saw a guy in his early 60s who was a blues artist that he kind of patterned himself after James Brown. I can't remember his name now. And he worked his whole life to be, trying to be successful, and he finally hit it like at 60, and he lived and he died like at 65. But the last 5 years of his life, man, he toured all over the world. He had a big following. Can't tell you his name, but I remember that story too. Another example of it's never too late, never give up, never give in, regardless.
Never. You can't. You can't.
I love stories.
And
like
see, that's the other thing. Like, that's the opposite of let's bring it back around to slow down. That is like sometimes taking it slow at the beginning and then speeding up at the end. It's not the 26 miles of the marathon that matters. It's the 0.2.
And I think when I talk about slow down, it's more like concentrate on your goals. Don't overstep yourself.
I agree.
Focus. Have a game plan, and just step by step by step by step. It's not complicated. When I do jujitsu, my black belt, he'll teach me technique, and it's like he'll say, "Ron, slow down. Now watch. This is what you do here, and then here, and then here, and then here, and now you're done. Now you do it, and I'll do it." And it's like, man, that worked. He said, "Of course it works. I've been doing this for 25 years." He'll say to me, and I love this guy's name, Luis Rubalcaba, and he's a world-class champion, really good guy. That's a whole other story. We'll have to get him for the podcast one of these nights.
I'll connect that with music as well, or even the podcast. Sometimes, I remember when we were first doing the podcast, it was like, hey, we are successful in our own right, even just getting the microphones or the lighting or so-and-so. Again, success can be very small. You
can't always measure it by how much money you have. It's like the old saying, it's not how much money's in the bank, it's your ability to earn it. So it's not how much music you have, as an example, in your music business that's on the marketplace. It's your ability to make good music.
Yes.
That's success.
Exactly.
That's success.
And every day, constantly. Another thing that reminded me of...
The money will come.
I agree.
If you don't give up.
I agree. That reminded me of something I can't... Oh, it's not the it's not where you're going, it's how you get there. It's the path you take.
I like it.
That's what success is. Success is a journey. It's not a destination.
There is no destination. It's
Correct.
all a journey.
Exactly.
Enjoy the ride. I tell your artists all the time, enjoy the process, man. You're going to look back in a few years and go, wow, it's the journey that's, when I start something new, like a new project, that's the exciting. Like I just started a new dojo. I sold my martial arts business to one of my students recently, and I started another gym about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's exciting to start from scratch, build it, develop it, see it come together. There's nothing like it. In my opinion.
I agree. And I'm not saying our studio was from scratch, but, I kind of like, we had this structure and it got broken down, and then there was another structure and it didn't ever get finished. So I finished laying the foundation over that old structure. Yes. And now we have this beautiful mansion.
It's crazy.
So
crazy how much success you brought to the table.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I couldn't do it without you.
Thank you, sir. So here's another interesting success story. I love these little stories. The Mr. Rogers neighborhood story. Mm-hmm. So this guy he's a brilliant guy. People saw him on public television. They thought he was kind of weird. A lot of people made fun of him. I mean, a lot. Saturday Night Live, there was all these different entertainers that made fun of him. And he got really upset at one point. And he went to Saturday Night Live studio. Eddie Murphy was playing him. He went to the studio, literally, in New York. And he said, Eddie, please don't do this. And Eddie Murphy said, I respect you, sir, but, this is my job. And they took a picture together. I saw the picture. But he had to do it. It was his job. He was afraid to be seen.
Yeah, I get it.
But they would make fun of Mr. Rogers. The point I'm trying to make is that he regardless of that, he had a job to do, which was to help children. He was a child psychologist, brilliant guy. Also, he was a great pianist, very, very smart guy. And he really got a bad rap because he had kind of a funny way of expressing himself. But he was asked one time, he said, how many people do you think you've helped, Mr. Rogers? He says, I don't care about the numbers. All I care about is if I just helped one person, it was worth it to me. Yep. And I love that story because I've always said the saying, to help one person is to help the whole world. To save one life is as if to have saved the whole world. That's an old Jewish saying that I was taught when I was a little boy by a really smart Jewish guy who at the time was 60, and I was 8 or 9 years old. I'll never forget that, Nathan Karchmer. He was the mayor of Springfield, Missouri in 1950. It's crazy.
And the craziest thing is, as an example.
And he looked after me. I was one of these guys, I was a slow learner, and he never gave up on me to get bar mitzvahed. In Judaism, you're supposed to be bar mitzvahed at 13.
Correct.
I didn't get to it until I was 15 because I was slow to learn. But he never gave up on me. He would take me to the rabbi's house, and we would study and study and study and study every night. And that's back to mentorship. You got to have people that believe in you.
Yes, and that's what I was going to.
My high school speech teacher, he was saying it. Bob Ballou, my black belt, Luis Rubalcaba. All these people played such a huge role in my life. Mm-hmm. It's crazy when you look back and you reflect and you realize you got to have people in your life that care about you, deeply care about you, and don't want anything in return. That's so important.
Exactly, and that was the biggest thing. I'll connect that to our business and our music business. I never really had a mentor growing up, and then at how old was I? Maybe 22, 23. I came in here and we started talking, and now you helped me, and the extension of you helping that one person, even though you have helped many people, helping that one person, I have been able to help 12 artists,
I love it.
Young men and young women know their worth in their art, in their dreams, and chase after their dreams.
So how about this? I was thinking about this. I came up with these ideas. I was thinking about the coffee pot. My mother, when I was a little boy, used to have this coffee pot that would percolate. Yeah, you would pour. It had like a container. You put the grinds in it, the coffee in it, and then you would the water would be in the bottom, and you plug it in like electric, and then the water would heat up, and all of a sudden at the very top there was a glass little top, and it would go blip, 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 blip. It would start percolating, and I thought about how that compares with life, and when you're struggling to be successful, how it starts off like this blip, blip.
Kind of slow.
And then all of a sudden it starts picking up, and then there's momentum, and then there's momentum, and then there's success, because the coffee's done.
Exactly.
And I thought about how life is, that's a reflection of life, perhaps. I don't know why I thought of that, but I did.
That's
okay.
All right. Hey,
so,
I like that analogy. I've never thought of it like that.
It's crazy, some of the things I come up with. But you know what I say? The whole world's crazy, and I'm crazy too. My friend Isaac Jenkins, that was one of his funny favorite sayings that he would he would come to my office every day and he would preach to me. He promised my mother before she died that he would look after me, and he did until he died. That was a powerful experience.
I think that if we weren't crazy, we wouldn't be successful.
I like that. So back to slowing down. We're going full circle back to our topic today. And we won't bore you too much longer, guys. I promise you, just a few more minutes. So here's the deal. Stop, think before you act. It's always good to think things through before you open your mouth. Some people don't do that, and what happens? They get in trouble because they insult people.
I was going to say a lot of things.
A lot of things can go wrong. Just think it through before you open your mouth.
I agree.
Particularly if you're getting ready to be critical. Hopefully some kind of constructive criticism.
I agree. I agree with you.
Stay grounded, it's just so important to be you can be confident, but you need to be humble at the same time.
Yes. Yes. You have to have both. You have to have both.
Rest, exercise. We talked about that earlier. I think those go hand in glove. Caffeine's good in the morning, man. I love caffeine.
See, your morning is
I
mine.
love caffeine in the morning. Yeah, you're into that trip right now.
This is mine.
This is your morning right now. Wow.
This is a non-caffeine day.
Really? Mm-hmm. Why do you do that?
I don't want it to be a crutch. I don't want to feel like I have to have caffeine every day.
So I think rest, I think exercise should be the centerpiece of the universe. I've said that many times. You have to exercise. Today I walked, I think, 2 miles in the building. It's not like a big deal, but it's exercise. It gets your heart rate up. It's good for your blood pressure. It's good for your legs. It's good for your cardio.
Your body gets.
It's not crazy. It's not fancy, but it's helpful.
Yes, I agree.
So even if you don't want to do jiu-jitsu at night, even if you don't want to go to the gym and lift weights, which I do, I think it's important. You don't have to go crazy. That's part of my lifestyle. You at least, walk somewhere every day.
Yes.
Walk for 30 minutes somewhere in your house, outside. I mean, up the side of the street, at the mall, somewhere. Little things like that will make a big difference. You'll feel better. You'll look better. You'll rest better. Everything's better. Your brain works better. And look, I said earlier that nothing's perfect. If you do everything right in life, it's no guarantee you're going to be successful. But I can guarantee if you don't do these things, your odds of success are much lower. I'm not saying you won't get there, but these help you a lot to get there quicker, faster, sooner, more efficiently, more effectively, in my opinion.
I agree.
But opinions are like noses.
I thought opinions were like assholes.
Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So follow the rules. I think your odds are going to be a whole lot better. Anything you want to add to all this? We've covered quite a few things in the last 10 minutes or so.
I still think we talked about the goals and the work. I want to touch just for a second on the relationships and friendships and partnerships, even in business.
Go ahead.
We've been around a lot of people in our business already, even in a year, and you have for multiple decades being in business. And there are pushy people. There are pushy people. Not even not in
That's a red flag for me.
Yes.
Real quick.
Why are you so obsessed with getting this done right at this point?
Yes.
And I think that goes for every type of relationship. Like I was saying,
Good point.
a intimate relationship, a friendship, a business partnership, all of that. You can't rush any of that. Everything has to be taken slow. Sometimes it will speed up. Yeah, sometimes it'll speed up. Sometimes you have to keep up with the other person, but there are times where you have to stop and think about where you've been at.
Yes.
And where you're at now.
Yes.
So I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
I like to do a lot of different things. I like to pull the trigger, but at the same time, I've learned that like you just said, you have to be steady as you go.
Yes.
You can't overstep yourself. In the past, when I would do that, I would always fail. You have to be steadfast, I think, is a good word.
Steadfast. Since you said pull the trigger, yeah, I want to pull the trigger first or quickly, but you still have to line your shot up. You still have to aim. You have to get the setup correct.
Yes.
I don't just put songs out just to put them out. That you have to mix them. You have to say, okay, this goes here. This goes after that song.
Yes.
Things like that. It's not just, let's just go do whatever. You have to stop and think think critically and logically.
Yes. Well, to the audience, I think the message for today is just look at your life. When you look in the mirror, take ownership. Don't pass it by. Look in the mirror. If you like something about yourself, do more of that. If you don't like something about yourself, fix it. No matter how long it takes. That's a very important piece of the puzzle as well.
And one last thing.
Yes, sir.
Take time to be thankful and grateful for everything that life has given you.
Good point.
Whether, you may be in a slump right now, you may be in a lower point than you have been in your life, just people in general. You still have to think about where you have been, because it can make you a better person if you sit there and think about it for a second.
Yes, sir.
Really think about it.
That's a good point, Davin. And Davin and I only speak from experience. We don't talk about things out of a book. We talk about our own life's experiences as we go through our life and deal with our trials and tribulations and our ups and our downs. So we're just as real as you guys are. We're not trying to act like we know everything, because we don't.
I'm a 25-year-old music producer that has 12 artists that has never done this before until this year. So, yeah, I'm a human too. I get it.
You're doing the trip, man.
Yep.
And everybody's really excited for you too.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited for the opportunity. I know all of those guys are as well.
I love it. All right, guys, I guess we're going to let you go for this podcast. Stay tuned to SoarHighPersonalDevelopment.com. Go to our YouTube channel, Soar High Personal Development. See all of our podcasts. I think we've got maybe 40 or 50 up already.
Yeah.
Last couple of years. And hopefully we're going to be on here for a long while and enjoy the ride. So until next time, stay positive.